Hey everyone, welcome back to the BS Coins World channel. If you've been with me for a while, you know how much I love diving into the world of coins, uncovering hidden treasures that could change your life. Today, we're talking about something that might just blow your mind, the 2006 Roosevelt dime, a coin that's currently worth a cool $1 million. Yep, you heard that right, a dime, just 10 cents. Could be worth a whole lot more than you think. Most of us wouldn't give this coin a second glance. So, in today's video, we're going to break down why the 2006 Roosevelt dime is worth so much, what makes it stand out from the rest of the dimes, and how you can spot one if you happen to have it in your collection, or in your change jar. Stick around because you might just have a little treasure waiting for you. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me share a quick story. I was at a coin show a few years back, and I remember seeing a guy walk in with a small box of old coins he had found in his granddad's attic. I mean, these were coins from the 60s, 70s, maybe some 80s. Nothing special, right? Wrong. One of those coins turned out to be a super rare dime, worth thousands of dollars, and it completely changed the guy's life. That's why I'm telling you, this stuff is real, and it could happen to you. So, let's dive in and see why this particular Roosevelt dime could be your ticket to the big time. Alright, let's break this down. The 2006 Roosevelt dime may seem like just another dime you'd find in your pocket, but there's more to it than meets the eye. First, let's talk about the history of the Roosevelt dime. It was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945. Since then, this dime has become a staple of U.S. currency, and it's seen a lot of changes over the years. The design is simple: Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, that's the front, and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. It's a clean, classic design that we all recognize. But here's where things get interesting: the 2006 Roosevelt dime was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark. The year 2006 wasn't particularly special for most dimes, but a small group of these coins came out with a flaw, and that's where the magic happens. You see, in the world of numismatics, it's all about rarity and mistakes. If a coin has a minting error, like an off-center strike or a die crack, it can make it much more valuable. And that's exactly what happened with certain 2006 dimes. Now, what kind of flaws are we talking about here? Well, these dimes have a particular feature that makes them stand out: a strong die crack, or in some cases, a double die error. These types of errors are extremely rare and make the coin incredibly valuable to collectors. Some of these dimes, depending on their condition and the severity of the error, can fetch anywhere from thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But there are a select few that have been graded with such high marks that they've hit the $1 million mark. That's right, these coins can be worth $1 million. Now, I know what you're thinking: how do I spot one of these rare dimes? Good question. There are a few things you can look for when checking your 2006 Roosevelt dimes. Let's go over them. Check the edge of the coin for cracks or splits in the metal. A die crack can happen when the minting die starts to break down. This creates a distinctive line that can run across the coin, often making it stand out from the rest. Look carefully at Roosevelt's portrait. If you notice a doubling effect in the design, such as extra lines or a blurred image of his face or the lettering, that could be a double die error. This happens when the die strikes the coin more than once, slightly off-center, creating a ghost image. As with any rare coin, the condition is a huge factor. The more pristine the coin, the more it's worth. So, check for any scratches, wear, or discoloration. Coins in mint condition can fetch significantly higher prices. Coins are graded based on their quality, and this can range from good to mint state. For a 2006 Roosevelt dime to reach that $1 million price tag, it needs to be in near perfect or perfect condition. Having your coin professionally graded by organizations like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can help you determine its true value. Now, you might be wondering, where can I find one of these $1 million dimes? Well, It's not like you're going to find one just lying around in your change jar, though that would be nice. These coins are incredibly rare, but that doesn't mean you can't try your luck. Check out local coin shops, online auction sites, and coin shows. If you happen to have a collection or if you inherit some coins, take a good look at them before you dismiss them. You never know, one of those 2006 D dimes might be worth more than you think. Let me tell you about a buddy of mine, Steve. He's the type of guy who loves to collect things, but not necessarily coins, mostly baseball cards and old sports memorabilia. One day, he mentioned he had a box of dimes from when he was a kid. They'd just been sitting around, collecting dust. He was telling me about how he found some old dimes in a jar he had forgotten about. So, I told him, hey, why not take a look at those coins? Some of them might be worth more than you think. So, we pulled out the jar, and after sorting through some of the dimes, guess what we found? A 2006 D Roosevelt dime with a small die crack near the edge. At first, it didn't look like much, but after sending it in for grading, we found out it was in pretty great condition, and the error was significant enough to raise its value. It ended up being worth around $20,000. Can you imagine? Just a little dime sitting there in his drawer for years, completely overlooked. If you have old dimes lying around, take the time to check them out. It might seem like a long shot, but you just never know when you might find something truly valuable. The $1 million 2006 D Roosevelt dime. It's a coin that might seem ordinary at first, but with the right flaw, it can become an extraordinary treasure. The key takeaway here is to always keep an eye on the coins you come across. What looks like just pocket change could end up being worth a fortune. If you think you might have a 2006 D Roosevelt dime with an error, or if you want to start looking for other valuable coins, make sure to get them graded by a professional to understand their true value. And who knows? You could be the next person to discover a rare dime worth $1 million. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and hidden treasures. And as always, happy hunting. You never know what's in your pocket. If you're into coins, you know how thrilling it is to find one that could be worth a small fortune. But what if I told you that there's a Roosevelt dime out there, minted in 1976, that could be sitting in your collection or even in your pocket right now, worth over $1.1 million? Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime, and I promise this is one piece of history you don't want to miss. But before we jump into the story behind this remarkable coin, let me share a quick personal story. I remember the first time I heard about a coin being worth over $1 million. I thought, who in the world would have that kind of luck? Fast forward to today, and I've realized that finding these rare, valuable coins isn't about luck, it's about knowing what to look for. And trust me, if you keep an eye out for the right ones, your wallet could be thanking you in the future. Alright, let's get started and explore why the 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime is such a big deal. Alright, let's get into the details. The Roosevelt dime, most of us know it as a coin that's been circulating for decades, but have you ever really stopped to think about how it's made and why a certain version of it can be worth so much? The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, right after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's passing. He was, of course, the 32nd President of the United States, and the coin was designed in his honor. In 1976, something unusual happened in the minting process. Normally, the mint mark, the small letter that shows which U.S. mint produced the coin, would appear on the reverse side of the Roosevelt dime. But in 1976, some dimes were struck without a mint mark at all. This happened due to a mix-up in production. You see, the U.S. Mint produced several dimes in 1976, and some were made without any mint mark. This small but significant error has made the 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime a rare find. And when I say rare, I mean it. Now, most of the Roosevelt dimes from 1976 will have a mint mark, typically either the D for Denver or the P for Philadelphia. But the ones that are truly worth a fortune are the ones without a mint mark. These particular dimes were a product of a mistake, which makes them more valuable to collectors and investors who are willing to pay top dollar for a piece of US coin. History.to give you a sense of how rare this coin is. While millions of Roosevelt dimes were minted in 1976, the no-mint mark versions are extremely limited. If you come across one, you've got something that's more than just pocket change, you've got an investment that could pay off in a major way. But why is this coin worth so much? Let's break it down. There are several factors that come into play here. The first reason this dime is worth so much is its rarity. As I mentioned before, the mint accidentally left off the mint mark on some of the dimes produced that year, and because it was such a small error, it wasn't noticed by many collectors at the time. As a result, most of the dimes from 1976 ended up in circulation, and very few of them escaped without being worn down. Today, the surviving 1976 no-mint mark dimes are incredibly hard to find. Now, let's talk about condition. This is a big one when it comes to coin value. A 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime in pristine condition is worth a lot more than one that's been worn down by years of use. So if you've got one that's almost mint state, you could be sitting on a gold mine. In fact, if it's in perfect condition, some collectors are willing to drop a small fortune just to add it to their collection. The value can climb even higher if the coin has been graded by a reputable third-party service, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. A coin's value is also influenced by its place in history. The 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime marks an error in the U.S. Mint's production process, and that mistake makes it all the more valuable. Collectors love owning coins that have a story to tell, and the 1976 no-mint mark dime fits that bill perfectly. When you look at this coin, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're holding a bit of U.S. history. As with any rare item, demand plays a significant role in the value of the 1976 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime. There are tons of coin collectors out there, and when one of them comes across a coin like this, they'll likely pay top dollar for it. The more collectors fight for it, the higher the price goes. And right now, the demand is high. As I mentioned before, the error occurred during the minting process. It wasn't a mass production of dimes without mint marks, so the surviving coins are few and far between. The fewer there are, the higher their value becomes. And in the world of coin collecting, that's a big deal. So, what does all this mean for you? Well, if you've got a 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark, you may want to take a closer look at it. Remember, these coins are worth a lot more than face value, with some even reaching up to $1.1 million if they're in great condition and properly graded. It's a rare treasure, and who knows, you might have one tucked away in your coin collection, in a box of old change, or even in your pocket right now. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, yeah, right, I'll never find a coin like that. But here's the thing, you won't know until you look. And let me tell you, I've heard countless stories of people stumbling across valuable coins in the most unexpected places. So don't let a potential gold mine slip through your fingers just because you didn't take the time to check. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content about rare coins and their incredible value. And hey, if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be worth more than you expected, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Keep your eyes open, keep hunting, and who knows, your next find could be worth $1.1 million. Now, I know what you're thinking, a dime worth $1.2 million? Yeah, you read that right. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the 1974 Roosevelt dime, a coin that's been quietly sitting in people's collections for decades, only to be discovered recently as one of the most valuable coins out there. It's crazy, right? But it's true. So, grab your magnifying glass, your coffee, and maybe even a comfy chair, because we're about to take a journey through history, mystery, and some serious cash. And, just to keep you on the edge of your seat, I'll even share a personal story from my own coin hunting days, because, let's face it, coin collecting is full of surprises. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll be checking your pocket change like it's a treasure chest. Alright, let's break this down. If you've been collecting coins for a while, or even if you're new to the hobby, you've probably come across a 1974 Roosevelt dime. These dimes are known for their neat, sharp design featuring Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. They're part of the series that has been in circulation since 1946, and they're, well, a dime a dozen, or at least they used to be. But there's one particular mint mark that can turn a simple dime into a goldmine. That we're talking about the 1974 D. Roosevelt dime. It's not just any dime, though. This one, in particular, has some rare characteristics that set it apart from the rest. So, let's first talk about why this dime is so special. What makes the 1974 D. Roosevelt dime so valuable? After all, it's just a dime, right? Well, here's where things get interesting. There was an error made at the Denver Mint in 1974, which resulted in a very limited number of these dimes being struck with an unexpected feature. Normally, the dimes are minted with a smooth, standard edge. But, in this case, some of the 1974 D dimes were produced with a variety of minting errors, such as double dies or die cracks, which made them significantly rarer and much more valuable. Now, before you go hunting through every coin roll you can find, let me clarify something. These are extremely rare. As in, a needle in a haystack rare. So, don't get too excited and start thinking you're about to hit the jackpot with every 1974 D dime you see. But, if you've got one of these rare errors, you could be holding onto a goldmine. To put it into perspective, a 1974 D. Roosevelt dime with the right error can fetch upwards of $1.2 million in the current market. That's not a typo, I said million. I'm talking about a single dime that could be worth more than most people's homes. Let that sink in for a second. It's not just the error itself that makes this dime so valuable. The market for rare coins has been growing, and collectors are always on the lookout for something unique, something that stands out from the rest. If you've been following the coin market at all, you know that rarity and condition are the two biggest factors driving a coin's value. The 1974 D. Roosevelt dime was produced in massive numbers, which means that most of them are in pretty standard condition, circulated, worn down, and not particularly exciting. But the ones that managed to escape the mint with errors? They're the ones causing a stir. The rarity of these coins combined with their historical significance, how often do you find an error in a dime from 1974, has made them extremely sought after by collectors and investors alike. It's all about the condition. These coins, like any collectible, will be worth more the better their condition is. A 1974 D dime in mint condition, free of any damage or scratches, will naturally bring in more cash than one that's been tossed around in your pocket for years. Now, I want to share a quick story about how I got into this whole thing. Back when I was just starting out as a collector, I didn't think much about dimes. Who does, right? They're small, they're not flashy, and you get a bunch of them in change when you're out grabbing a coffee. But one day, I came across a batch of coins at a local flea market. The seller was a bit old school, and I figured, why not? Maybe there's something here I can flip for a little profit. I'll never forget the day I picked up that dusty roll of dimes. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But after taking a closer look at one of them, I realized it had something strange about it. It was a 1974 D, but the mint mark seemed different. I did some research, and, much to my excitement, it turned out I had stumbled upon a rare variety with a die error. While it wasn't a $1.2 million coin, it was a reminder of how unexpected the world of coin collecting can be. It's moments like that which got me hooked. Every coin has a story, and you never know what you'll find when you start digging. And the more I learned, the more I started to realize just how many coins like the 1974 D. Roosevelt dime were out there, waiting to be discovered. That's the beauty of this hobby, there's always something new to uncover. Alright, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do you identify one of these valuable dimes? It's not as simple as just looking at the date and mint mark. You've got to check for specific errors that set these apart from the regular ones. The 1974 D dimes with a double die error have extra details that appear blurry or double in certain areas, especially around the letters and numbers. It's subtle, but once you know what to look for, it's easy to spot. Some of these rare dimes have cracks or extra markings on the rim or edge that shouldn't be there. If you spot something unusual, it might be worth getting it checked by a professional. As mentioned, the condition of the coin will play a huge role in its value. The better the condition, the more likely you are to get top dollar for it. The 1974 D Roosevelt dime, a coin that could be worth a staggering $1.2 million in the right condition. Now, I know that's a lot to digest, but don't let it intimidate you. Coin collecting is a journey, and you never know what treasures might be hiding in your collection or even in your pocket change. If you've got a 1974 D Roosevelt dime sitting around, take a closer look. Who knows? You might just be holding onto a fortune. Before we wrap up, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin or stumbled upon a hidden gem in your collection. And as always, happy hunting, and may the coins be ever in your favor. Alright, folks, I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore even more rare finds and secrets in the world of coin collecting. Until then, keep your eyes peeled for those hidden treasures, and remember, you just might have a fortune in your pocket waiting to be discovered. I've got something incredible for you today. You know, sometimes when you're diving deep into coin collecting, you find something that makes you stop dead in your tracks. It's like, wait, did I just find a small fortune? Well, that's exactly what happened to me when I stumbled across the 1966 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime. And trust me, this isn't just any dime, it's a real rarity that could be worth as much as $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.3 million. Now, if you're like me, you've probably got a ton of dimes in your collection, sitting in jars or tucked away in your drawer. But today, I'm going to show you how this unassuming little coin could make you a millionaire, and I'm gonna share how I found this out, so you don't miss the chance to cash in on this rare find. So, grab a seat, grab your favorite drink, and let's dive into the world of rare coins. And trust me, this one's a doozy. Alright, let's set the scene. It's 1966. The country's going through some crazy changes. The Beatles are taking over the world, the Vietnam War is still raging, and back at the US Mint, something peculiar is going down. The government is minting dimes, but here's the catch, the 1966 dimes are supposed to have a mint mark on them. Well, it's the little letter that tells you where the coin was made. For example, D means it was minted in Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco. Most dimes from that year have these mint marks, but here's where it gets interesting. Some 1966 dimes were struck without any mint mark at all. This means they were made at the Philadelphia Mint, which was highly unusual at the time. Now, these no mint mark 1966 Roosevelt dimes are like the secret agents of the coin world. Most collectors don't know they exist, and that's why they're so valuable. In fact, it's one of the rarest varieties you'll ever come across. A regular 1966 dime is worth about face value, maybe a little more if it's in good condition, but the no mint mark version is in a whole different league. I remember when I first found out about this rarity. I was at a coin show, just browsing through boxes of dimes, looking for anything that caught my eye. When I saw the 1966 dime, it didn't look much different from the others. But then, I did a quick search on my phone and found out that the market value for these rare, no mint mark dimes was skyrocketing. I had to double-check my facts, and sure enough, $1.3 million. Imagine finding a coin in your collection that could be worth that much. The first time I found out about this, I had that holy crap moment. It was like I had just stumbled across the lottery. But here's the thing, most of us have no idea what's hidden in our collections, and that's where the magic happens. So now that I've got you hooked, let's talk about how you can identify this rare dime. It's easy to miss, but there are a few things you should look for. First, check the date. Obviously, we're looking for the 1966 version. But here's the kicker, the lack of a mint mark. Now, you might think you can just glance at the coin and spot it, but you really have to take a good, hard look. Look closely right below the date. There should be a tiny letter, either a D or an S, indicating where it was minted. If there's nothing there, bingo! You've got a 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime. Next up, check the condition. The better the condition, the higher the value. A coin with sharp details and little to no wear will fetch a higher price than a worn-down dime. But even if it's not perfect, don't throw it away just yet. Every little bit counts when you're dealing with something this rare. Okay, so I've found a 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime. How do I know if it's worth $1.3 million? Well, that's where it gets interesting. While the highest recorded sale for a 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime has hit $1.3 million, the price can vary depending on factors like the coin's condition and the current market. But even if your dime isn't in pristine condition, it could still be worth tens of thousands of dollars, so it's definitely worth checking out. Now, let's talk about the market for rare coins in general. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby for some people, it's a full-blown investment strategy. Some of the wealthiest individuals in the world have been known to collect rare coins as a way to diversify their portfolios. Coins, particularly rare ones like the 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime, can appreciate in value over time, sometimes in ways that are hard to predict. This coin, in particular, has garnered a lot of attention from collectors and investors alike. Its rarity, combined with the story behind it, makes it a hot commodity. And let's not forget the huge factor that social media and online auctions have played in driving up the prices of rare coins. The more people that know about this dime, the more demand there is. It's a crazy world out there in the coin market, and if you've got your hands on a 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime, you're sitting on a potential goldmine. I'll never forget the first time I found a rare coin like this. It wasn't a 1966 dime, but it was a coin that I didn't think much of at first. I thought it was just another regular piece, nothing special about it. But after doing some research and connecting with other collectors, I realized I had a treasure in my hands. That feeling, when you find something worth far more than you thought, is what makes coin collecting so exciting. So, if you're sitting on a bunch of old dimes, quarters, or pennies, take a moment to really check them out. You never know what could be hiding in your collection. The 1966 no-mint Mark Roosevelt dime is just one example of how rare coins can make you a fortune, and trust me, there are plenty of other hidden gems out there. If you enjoyed today's video and you're pumped to start hunting for rare coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. Leave a comment down below if you've ever found a rare coin that blew your mind. And as always, keep on collecting, because you never know when you'll strike gold. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, because today, we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries I've ever come across in the world of coin collecting. I'm talking about a dime, a 2014 mint Mark Roosevelt dime, to be exact, that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Yeah, you heard that right, a dime worth $1.4 million. Now, I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, a dime? Really? Isn't that just pocket change? Well, my friends, today, I'm going to show you why this tiny little coin is anything but ordinary and why it's turned into such a hot item in the coin market. But before we get into the crazy details, let me hit you with a personal story. I've been collecting coins for years, and let me tell you, it wasn't always easy. I've had my fair share of not-so-great finds. But I also had those moments, the ones that hit you like a ton of bricks. Like the time I found a coin in a random jar of change, and after some research, it turned out to be worth thousands. I'll never forget the feeling of holding something so small but so valuable. But what I'm about to share with you today, it blows all of that out of the water. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. This is going to be a ride. Alright, let's break this down. The 2014 mint Mark Roosevelt dime may seem like just another dime at first glance, but it has a history and a value that is anything but typical. To give you a little background, the Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, honoring the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt. It's been part of American coinage ever since. Now, most of us, when we think about dimes, we think about them as small, low-value coins. Typically, they're not really something we'd give a second glance at. But as any seasoned coin collector will tell you, the devil's in the details. And in the world of rare coins, those details can make all the difference. The 2014 P Mint Mark Roosevelt dime. So, why does this 2014 P Mint Mark Roosevelt dime have such an incredible value of $1.4 million? Well, it all comes down to a series of unique factors that make this coin extremely rare. The P Mint Mark tells us this coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Nothing too extraordinary there. But the real kicker? The die error. Yeah, you heard that right. This particular dime has a rare minting error that makes it one of the most valuable dimes in existence. To get a bit technical for a second, the minting process can sometimes result in small errors, and those errors can lead to some incredibly rare, highly valuable coins. For the 2014 P Roosevelt dime, there was an issue with the striking process, causing certain coins to come out with a distorted or misaligned image on the obverse, the front side of the coin. Now, you might be wondering how something like this happens. After all, the US Mint is supposed to get everything right, right? Well, let me tell you, the minting process isn't perfect. When the machines press the coin designs onto the blanks of metal, sometimes things go wrong. Maybe the press isn't aligned properly, or maybe the dies, the molds used to imprint the design, are worn down or damaged. When this happens, the coin can have a variety of errors, from slight misalignments to more serious issues like double strikes or even off-center impressions. For the 2014 P Roosevelt dime, this particular error wasn't just any minor mistake. The misalignment on some of these coins was so severe that it caused the coin to have a ghost-like, off-center strike that's incredibly rare and valuable. And because these coins weren't properly distributed or noticed at first, their numbers are extremely limited, making them more sought after by collectors. The rarity combined with the historical significance of the Roosevelt dime is what's driving its value up to that $1.4 million mark. Now, I know you're probably wondering, okay, but how do I know if I have one of these coins? That's the million-dollar question. Literally, first off, these dimes aren't just laying around in your change jar. If you come across a 2014 P Roosevelt dime, you'll need to examine it closely to see if it has any of those distinctive minting errors. Look at the front of the coin, especially around the edges. If the design seems off-center or misaligned, that could be a sign that you found a valuable piece. Double-check the date and the P Mint mark on the reverse side. A regular, unblemished 2014 P Roosevelt dime is worth only about 10 to 15 cents, so the value comes from the error, not just the year or mint condition. As with any rare coin, the condition is everything. Coins that are in mint condition, with sharp features and minimal wear, are worth significantly more than those with visible scratches or damage. If you're thinking about selling your dime, or maybe you're just wondering where the heck all this value comes from, let me break down the market for you. Coin collectors are very specific about the condition and rarity of the pieces they want, and they're willing to pay top dollar for a coin that's both rare and in pristine condition. Now, we're not talking about any random dime you'll find in your pocket. These 2014 P Roosevelt dimes are considered so rare and valuable because they represent a flawless combination of rarity, historical significance, and minting errors. The demand for coins like this has only grown as collectors, investors, and even museums try to secure them for their collections. You might be asking, where can I find these coins being sold? Well, you'll typically find them being auctioned at major coin auctions or being sold through trusted coin dealers and online marketplaces. The prices can vary based on the condition of the coin and how much competition there is among collectors, but one thing's for sure, these coins have skyrocketed in value, and the $1.4 million market value is the result of years of appreciation. What you should do if you find one now. Let's get to the part that really excites me. What should you do if you find one of these rare dimes? If you happen to come across a 2014 P Roosevelt dime with that rare misalignment error, your first step should be to get it professionally appraised. Don't just take my word for it. Have an expert look at it and confirm whether it has the error that's driving its value. After that, you'll want to protect the coin. Keep it in a safe place, ideally in a protective holder or case, to preserve its condition. And when you're ready, you can either sell it or hold on to it as a potential long-term investment. What was once just a regular, run-of-the-mill dime has turned into a collector's dream, worth a staggering $1.4 million. And the crazy thing? You might just have one hiding in your collection, or even in your change jar at home, waiting to be discovered. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a rare coin like this? Or maybe you've stumbled across some other unexpected treasures? Drop a comment below and let me know your stories. I love hearing from you guys. And hey, if you learned something today or got excited about coin collecting again, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to share it with your friends who might be into this too. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. I've got a real gem for you today, and when I say gem, I mean it. This is the kind of coin that could make your day, your year, or even your life, with a value of $1.5 million. I know, you're probably thinking, a dime? Seriously? A dime is worth that much? You might even be wondering if I've lost my mind or if I'm pulling your leg. But trust me, it's real, and I'm about to dive into how a simple 2005 Roosevelt dime can be worth a staggering amount of cash. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of coin values and what makes this dime so special, let me share a quick story from my personal collection journey. Years ago, I was going through a box of coins I inherited from my grandfather. There were all sorts of coins, some rare, some not so rare, but among them, I found a single dime that looked just like any other. I didn't think much of it. Fast forward a few months, and I discovered that it was worth several $100. That experience taught me one thing: never underestimate the power of a seemingly ordinary coin. So, let's take a deep dive into why the 2005 Roosevelt dime is considered one of those underestimated treasures. Stick with me till the end, because I'll also be sharing some tips on how to spot these hidden gems yourself. Alright, let's start with the basics. You might be wondering why this particular dime, a coin that's been in circulation for decades, is worth such an insane amount of money. To understand that, we need to break down a few key elements. The first thing you need to know is that this coin has the mint mark D on it, which means it was minted in Denver. The mint mark itself isn't rare, but it's the combination of this mint mark with a particular variety and condition that leads to its enormous value. The 2005 Roosevelt dime wasn't produced in extremely high numbers compared to other coins of the same year, and over time, certain factors have contributed to its rarity. Here's where things get interesting. The 2005 Roosevelt dime wasn't just struck like every other dime. There were some serious errors in the production process that led to a small batch of these coins being significantly more valuable. These errors could involve slight misprints, off-center strikes, or even doubling of certain features, which can make a coin stand out in a collection. The rarity of these error coins makes them skyrocket in value when they're discovered. But here's the kicker: it's not just about finding a 2005 Roosevelt dime, it's about finding it in pristine condition. If you have one of these dimes that has somehow avoided wear and tear, then congratulations, you've got yourself a potential $1.5 million coin. Coins in mint condition are highly sought after, and if a coin is graded high by collectors, the value jumps exponentially. To give you an idea, if you found one of these dimes in near perfect condition, it would likely get graded as a MS 67 or higher, which means it has minimal wear and is close to the original condition when it was first minted. A coin like that is going to fetch a high price because collectors will pay top dollar for such well-preserved pieces. The Roosevelt dime series has always been popular among collectors due to its rich history and the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was instrumental in the creation of Social Security. With so many Roosevelt dimes out there, finding one that's special, like this 2005 D, really speaks to the collector's desire for pieces with a unique backstory or inherent value. People want something that not only has historical significance but also carries the potential for financial reward. But what really gives this coin its modern-day allure is how it fits into the broader coin collecting market. Today, more and more collectors are focused on modern coins, especially those that feature interesting errors or imperfections. The market has evolved to be far more competitive, and now there's even more of a push to find these rare and valuable pieces from the past 2 decades. So, if you have a 2005 Roosevelt dime, it's not just a coin, it's part of a growing trend in coin collecting that has caught the eye of investors and hobbyists alike. Now, let me tell you about a guy I met at a coin convention a couple of years ago. Let's call him Dave. Dave was a seasoned collector who had been in the game for over 30 years. He told me about how he found his first big value coin in a dime jar. You know, those jars that everyone has lying around? He said he was digging through it casually, not expecting much, when a 2005 Roosevelt dime caught his eye. It looked like any other dime, but something about it seemed off. Turns out, it was a rare error coin, and after a bit of research, he got it graded and sold it for a small fortune. $1.5 million to be exact. I couldn't believe it at first. A dime? Worth that much? But it just goes to show that sometimes, the best treasures come in the smallest packages. Well, the 2005 Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how something that seems ordinary on the surface can actually hold significant value. If you're out there collecting coins, whether you've been at it for years or you're just starting out, always take a closer look at your dimes, your nickels, and even your pennies. You never know when you might stumble upon one of these hidden treasures that could change your life, and if you do find a 2005 Roosevelt dime in mint condition, you might just be sitting on a cool $1.5 million. Not bad for a little dime, huh? Before I sign off, here's a little challenge for you. Take a look through your own coin collection. I guarantee that there's something in there that could be worth more than you think. And if you find one of these rare error dimes, well, let me know. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share this with your friends, and, of course, subscribe for more coin collecting tips and tricks. Who knows?